A budget looks at how much a person or a business or a government spends on various items versus how much it is receiving in income. Most governments around the world spend more than they receive in income, primarily from taxes. And because they spend more than they get from income, that means they're running a deficit. Not everyone agrees that governments should be running deficits. They think maybe they should balance their budget or perhaps even run surpluses. The three main budget philosophies when it comes to government budgets are the annually balanced budget, the cyclically balanced budget, and a budget philosophy called functional finance. Most classical economists believe that governments should annually balance their budget, which means that government spending should be equal to government revenues primarily from taxes. Some go even further than that and say that there should be surpluses, especially during healthy economic years, so that if the economy doesn't do as well, we could use those surpluses and spend a little bit more during those not so good years. Keynesian economists believe that we should have a cyclically balanced budget. That means that we should have deficits during recessions when the economy is not doing so well, so the government should spend more than it gets in revenue, and that we should have surpluses during expansions. So Keynesians believe that during the recessionary part of the business cycle, this part here, we should have a deficit, and when real GDP starts to increase again during the expansion, we should have a surplus. So that over the course of one complete business cycle, the budget would be balanced. Lastly, some economists believe in functional finance. These economists think that deficits are okay anytime, during any period of economic recession or economic expansion. The main thing they think is that full employment should be reached, so the government needs to do whatever it can to have full employment in the economy. So these are the three budget philosophies. Each philosophy has its pros and its cons. My personal opinion, though, is that I think in the long run, having lots of budget deficits and therefore a rising national debt has disadvantages. So I think that the budget should be balanced, and preferably annually balanced with a surplus for a rainy day. Keynes's cyclically balanced budget is not bad because you're still balancing the budget. However, in practice, it's very difficult for governments to increase their spending and then all of a sudden decrease their spending. In other words, to go from deficits to surpluses is very difficult for governments because governments generally just don't like to cut spending because that means laying off people and disappointing constituents. And also, they could be raising taxes, but a lot of politicians don't want to raise taxes because it's not politically a very popular thing to do. So theoretically, the Keynesian cyclically balanced budget might sound good, but in practice, politically, it just doesn't work, and governments just end up with more and more deficits over time.